Welcome to Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, your day where the podcast is being brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com and subscribe to their daily digital email newsletter. Well, folks, we're going to continue to see mild weather today and again tomorrow throughout the Intermountain West. Then the weather begins to go through some changes finally, and we start to see a more active weather pattern. But for today and tomorrow, continue to expect it to be very nice November weather, mix of high clouds and sun. Now, we do have a frontal passage with this splitting low pressure system that'll be coming into British Columbia, and then another piece of low pressure hanging off the west coast. Into the Intermountain West, there will be some weather with this front, not a lot, but some. We'll show you where. That will lead to not a huge cool down, but slightly cooler temperatures here for the end of the week. Then a disorganized but colder area of low pressure is going to be moving in Sunday and into Monday. Sunday into Monday definitely will be colder, definitely will be feeling a little bit more like November. And there's going to be some rain and snow with that system Sunday and Monday. Not a lot, but if you're going to be traveling, then you'll need to kind of keep an eye on the weather. Then the model chaos we talked about continues. It's not as bad. There's a little bit of better disagreement, but there are still different scenarios that could unfold. Nonetheless, we'll take a look at the model comparison and take a look at it. It does look like Thanksgiving Day and the Thanksgiving weekend after does look colder. We may have some travel concerns between Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, and the weekend. So we'll take a look at that. Something we're going to continue to keep an eye on because I know a lot of you will be traveling. Changing weather though, before we get to that, beautiful photos to show you. Another great shot there of those high level clouds we're getting this time of year, really making for some great sunrises and sunsets. And you can see those high clouds, those wave clouds right here, that Pacific moisture at the higher levels. The westerly flow causes that wave action. The wave forms downstream in the mountains and you get these lenticular clouds. You can see the subtle swirl of the low that's stuck off the west coast right now. We've got another low up here. Then we've got all of this jet stream energy going across the North Pacific. But other than the high clouds, the western United States continues to be very, very quiet. So you can see it on the 500 millibar chart, that upper level low off the coast of California. This system here and this low here will continue their divergent pattern. And you can see by tomorrow night into Thursday morning, this low is going to move very quickly across Montana and straddle the U.S.-Canadian border. It will send some cooler air south. I wouldn't call it really cold, but cooler air. And moisture being fed from this Pacific low, there'll be kind of a convergence of this Pacific moisture and somewhat of that cooler air coming in as we get into Thursday and Friday. As these storm systems diverge, and this one heads east and this one stays stalled out along the west coast. There you can see that complete separation. This is by Wednesday night into Thursday morning. This is by Friday morning. The upper level low stays off the California coast, feeding showers into central and northern California and the Pacific Northwest, and this low heads into the upper Great Lakes. So there's going to be another little gap here of some high pressure and southwest winds. So the frontal system on Thursday, while bringing a little bit of weather, won't bring a lot. And then temperatures actually, Friday and the Saturday, kind of bounce back up again behind that system. Then as we take a look at the precipitation forecast with this first front. So this is through Friday morning. So you can see all the rain just off the California coast there. But streaking in will be enough Pacific moisture for some rain and snow shower activity along the I-80 corridor. Some showers up here along the U.S.-Canadian border. Snow levels, though, stay pretty high, and the snow levels aren't terribly significant, but there'll be a little bit of weather coming through in this Thursday night time frame into Friday morning. Then Friday into Saturday, there's that bit of a break. Now, here's the second system. That California low does come in. It comes in a little disorganized, but we will have a low pressure system over eastern Colorado by noon Sunday. And then another low coming in behind it that will feed in colder air. Some colder air is going to get fed in here at this time. So as we get into Sunday and Monday, while it's not going to be a big system, it is going to be stronger than the system on Thursday. This opens the door to colder air. So Sunday into Monday, going to feel a lot more like November. If you're going to be traveling Sunday and Monday, there's going to be some weather with it. This is for the period of time from Friday through Monday. So you can see this secondary batch of moisture will be a little bit more consistent, a little bit more widespread. It's going to be a combination of rain and snow. And you can see the snow right here, snow levels will be lower since this will be a colder system. So while this will not be a major storm event, travelers Sunday and Monday, keep an eye on a little bit of a change to more of a wintry weather pattern. So we've got that to deal with as we head into the Thanksgiving travel period. Then we'll see a break in the weather. Then by Thursday, this is by Thanksgiving Day Thursday, late Thursday, we have this building of the high pressure and this trough coming on in and digging that low and the blocking high here. While this is not as extreme as what we showed you yesterday, and we'll do the model comparison here in a moment, the northerly flow will draw in much colder air. This would happen on Thanksgiving Day. So late Wednesday night into Thursday morning, colder Canadian air is probably going to be pushing in out of western and central Canada into the Rockies and into the high plains. Question will be is how cold will the air be, and will this frontal system produce some wintry weather? If this unfolds according to the European model, the answer is yes. It'll be a lot colder, and we could have some light to moderate snowfall developing Thanksgiving Day into early Friday. And that colder air would likely be locked in for the weekend. And you can see that. This is the European model temperature anomaly for Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So a lot colder in the region. But let's do the model comparison, shall we? So this is what we did yesterday, and we'll continue to do this as we get a little bit closer. So you can see the European model. It's the same chart I just showed you. The high pressure ridge builds there off the west coast. That is always a cold signal. And we have this pattern that will feed the colder air into the central part of the United States and parts of the West. So the European and the American model now are a little bit better. The American model is not as cold, but look at the structure. The basic structure is the same. High pressure ridge along the west coast. Then we have not as much of a blocking pattern here. But the European and the American model are starting to at least hum a similar song. Not exactly the same. Now the outlier is the Canadian. So the Canadian now is showing a more westerly push and waiting for the colder air to come in later. So between the three, we have the strongest and the coldest of the European, the US model in between, the Canadian, and outlier. Now we do have cold signals continuing, so the bias would maybe be for the model to go to the colder model. We have El Nino right here, those warm sea surface temperatures, but we also have warmer sea surface temperatures in the North Pacific. This is a cold signal right here because that wants that high pressure ridge to build and allow the door to open to Canadian air. And we also continue to have a negative Eastern Pacific oscillation after this Sunday. So this is between where we are now and Sunday. And you can see the EPO, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, goes into a strong and rather prolonged negative phase starting Thanksgiving week and staying through that period. So the signals continue to show that in the longer term, colder weather is coming. It's now going to be sorting out the details. Speaking of details, we'll have more of those for you tomorrow.